What's up, Mafia? OTAs are here. Jobs are on the line, and multiple names need to step up. And then there's a name from the past that just popped up on the radar that got Philadelphia fans feeling a certain way. We've got a lot to go through today, so let's get it mixing. Let's start here, because Josh Sweat is back on the trade block. Reporter Jordan Schultz already confirmed it. Sources told him that the Arizona Cardinals have already started fielding calls on their Pro Bowl defensive end, Josh Sweat. Sweat had 12 sacks last season in his first year in Arizona. He's been skipping voluntary off-season workouts. The relationship with the organization? Not that great, especially after they moved on from Jonathan Gannon, who Sweat was close with. So yeah, Philly fans are already losing their minds, and I get it. That's fair. But I need you to pump the brakes for just 1 second. Not because Sweat isn't a great player, because he is. Not because he didn't ball out in that Super Bowl run, because he absolutely did. But adding Josh Sweat right now doesn't fully add up when you look at what this roster actually needs. You just traded for Jonathan Gennard and paid him $100 million. Jalyx Hunt is ascending. Nolan Smith has his 5th-year option. And then there's Arnold Ebiketie, the guy who came over from Atlanta with the 3rd highest pass rush grade among rotational players last year. He's in the room too. According to Bleacher Report's Christopher Knox, the trade cost would be around a conditional 4th that could become a 3rd round. The money on Josh Sweat's deal is around $19 million a year. That's not outrageous on paper. But here's what people keep skipping. It's not about fitting him in this year. It's about what comes next. Jalen Carter is about to reset the interior D-line market. We're talking $30 million plus per year based on Chris Jones's $31 million contract. Quinyon Mitchell is getting top corner money. Sauce Gardner got $120 million over 4 years. Trent McDuffie just got $124 million over 4 years. And Cooper DeJean is right behind them. You already know what's coming. Do you really want to stack another older, highly paid edge rusher on top of all of that? In my opinion, I don't think Howie Roseman makes this move. I think he picks up the phone and he asks questions just because that's what Howie Roseman does. And then he passes. But hold on. The real story isn't whether Sweat comes back or not. The real story is what's already happening right now at OTAs. And 2 guys in particular are playing for their futures in Philadelphia. Nolan Smith's name showed up on a list this week. Jeff McClain put out a rundown of players whose roster spots could generally be in questions heading into this camp. And Nolan Smith's name was on it. Now, before anyone goes crazy, no, Nolan Smith is not getting cut. He's going to make the team. But the conversation around him has shifted, and we can't ignore that. Just think about where we were 2 years ago. Nolan Smith was supposed to be the guy. 1st round pick, raw, electric, and the next coming of edge rusher in Philadelphia. And then the injuries came, and the consistency never showed up. And while he was fighting to find his footing, Jalyx Hunt quietly went out and led his team in sacks and interceptions last season. A 3rd round pick outproducing a 1st round pick. That's the reality we have right now. And now you've got Gennard, and he's taking a larger percentage of the overall snaps. So now, Nolan Smith and Jalyx Hunt are fighting for the 2nd most snaps on the defense at their position. Every single rep at these OTAs actually matter. Every single rep in training camp matters. Both of them are entering their final year before they enter free agency. 1 contract extension is coming. Maybe 2, but that's not guaranteed. So, my take, right now, Jalyx Hunt has the edge. He showed out when it mattered. But I'm not writing Nolan Smith off just yet. What I need from Nolan Smith is for him to go out there and show us that he deserves to be here. Show the organization why they drafted you in the 1st round. Go out there and make it impossible for the Eagles to take you off the field. And show them how great you actually are. Nolan Smith has to have that mentality. Will Anderson in Houston just got $50 million a year. The edge rush market is not slowing down. If Nolan wants his money, and I believe he does, these OTAs are where it starts. No excuses, no injuries. Just go out there and take what's yours. Now on to safety, because this safety position might be the quietest but most important battle on this entire defense. Vic Fangio called this an open competition, and I respect that. But let's be honest at what we're actually looking at. Marcus Epps is the front runner. He impressed Fangio last season. He knows the system, and nothing that's happened this offseason changes that. Barring something crazy, Epps is going to be your first week starter. But behind him, Michael Carter is the only guy with a realistic shot at pushing him for that spot. The Eagles traded for Carter last year. Teams don't spend draft capital on players they don't believe in. He's the wild card here. Then there's Andre Sam and Cole Wisniewski. They're competing for that also. But realistically, this comes down to Epps holding his spot and Carter trying to take it from him. And why does it matter so much? Because Cooper DeJean is going to be playing a lot of nickel, a lot of slot, and a lot of hybrid roles in Fangio's new system. Similar to how Derwin James operates for the Chargers. Derwin James just signed a 3-year, $75.6 million deal. That's $25 million a year, and Cooper DeJean's market is going to follow that. The safety next to him has to be able to hold their own in coverage and against the run, because DeJean can't carry the dead weight on the back end. Whoever wins this job doesn't just win a starting spot. They become the foundation of the secondary alongside one of the best young defensive back in the game of football right now. Now, this is where it shifts because now we're going to go to the offense. And the wide receiver room is more open than most people want to admit. AJ Brown is most likely gone. We know that. Devontae Smith is your new wide receiver 1 going forward. Everything else, that's still being decided. The expectation, and I think it's a fair one, is that Makai Lemon wins the wide receiver 2 job. He was a first-round draft pick. The Eagles gave up 2 fourth-rounders to move up and get him. Jalen Hurts called him personally after the draft and told him, let's get ready to work, letting him know what the standard in Philadelphia actually is. But Makai Lemon hasn't been handed anything. These OTAs are the first real test against proven veterans. He's going to be matched up against the guys who's already been in this system. The 7-on-7s, the 11-on-11s. This is where you find out who the player actually is and not who the prospect actually was. Now behind Lemon, this is where the competition gets real interesting. Dontayvion Wicks is underrated. I've said that before, and I'll keep saying it. Hollywood Brown brings speed in a different element that nobody else in that wide receiver room actually has. Elijah Moore, Darius Cooper, and Johnny Wilson are all fighting for roster spots. And in my opinion, someone in that group doesn't make it. Maybe more than one. The Philly fan in me wants to see Wicks earn a real role on his offense this year. The football side of me thinks Hollywood Brown's speed gives this offense something it generally didn't have after losing AJ Brown's ability to stretch the field vertically. But Makai Lemon has to be the guy, and these OTAs are where that story begins. Now the running back room, and I need you to pay close attention here, because there's a real decision coming that most people aren't taking seriously enough. Saquon Barkley is your guy. That's not changing. But what happens when he needs a breather? What happens if, knock on wood, something goes wrong? Last year, every time Tank Bigsby touched the ball, something great happened. In games where Bigsby had 2 or more carries, the Eagles went 7-1. Now, in games where he got 1 or fewer carries, we went 4-5. 7-1 versus 4-5. That gap doesn't lie. And yet Kevin Patullo let him rot on the bench last year. Now with Sean May's new offense, there will be more outside zone, quicker handoffs, and a system that actually rewards running backs for what they can actually do well. That's a better environment for Bigsby to show what he can actually do. Now look at Will Shipley, and I'm not here to clown him. He was a real pick coming out of Clemson. Shifty, receiving ability, and he had some special team value. The idea made a lot of sense. But at some point, potential has to become production. And the Eagles didn't exactly clear a path for him. They traded for Tank Bigsby. They signed Damian Pierce's offseason to a 1-year deal. Pierce is a veteran. He can still run. He hasn't been elite since his rookie year in Houston, but he's a body with experience who can push for getting more carries. So where does that leave Will Shipley? Fighting for the third down back role. Fighting for 2-minute drill snaps. And that could signal that he may be on his way out. So, my honest take, takes Bigsby can and will be the clear running back number 2. Just give him the ball and stop overthinking it. Will Shipley has to prove that he deserves a roster spot beyond special teams. And Damian Pierce is insurance. The worst outcome, you go into week 1 with uncertainty at running back number 2. By week 2, this whole situation needs to be handled. So, where are we right now as Eagles fans? OTAs just started, and nothing has been decided yet. But some stories are already starting to write themselves. Josh Sweat is probably not coming back. but Howie Roseman will still make a call. At edge rush, Jalyx Hunt has real momentum, but Nolan Smith has everything to play for. At safety, Marcus Epps is the leader, but Carter is clearly watching and waiting for his opportunity. At wide receiver, Makai Lemon's time starts now. At running back, Bigsby deserves the ball, and Will Shipley needs to prove that he needs to be here over the summer. The window is wide open for all these guys. The competition is real. Every rep, every practice, everything that happens in OTAs is a step closer towards September. The standard in Philadelphia doesn't drop. It never has. And right now, I'm loving what I see. And if you're locked in with Eagles coverage all offseason, hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on that notification bell. And once again, I've been Brother Shy, and this has been the Midnight Green Mafia.